Welcome back to the Power Public YouTube channel. Today's video is brought to you by Mr. Quacker1. He left us a question in the comment section about axles, and I'm going to show you today how to stop your grub screws from coming loose in your 50mm axle. So let's get to it. So these are the parts we're going to be inserting into the axle, and what happens is as you put the grub screws into your bearings and tighten them up tight, it squashes the steel and the axle actually goes out around on some of the softer axles, and the steel, as it goes down inside the tube, it starts to deform, and then the grub screws can actually work loose because the steel will deform over time. If you slide these inside the axle, as you tighten the grub screws up, it resists the steel. It gives it a little bit of strength inside there, so it stops the steel from deforming, and the grub screws will stay tight. Nice and simple. For this job, you're going to require a couple tools. One's a soft hammer. I'm using this extension bar and a socket, which is just a little bit smaller than the inserts that we're going to be putting in the axle. A texter and a 6mm T-bar. So for this project, we're using the 801S demo cart. Now this is a brand new cart, and we have not inserted any stiffening bushes into the axle yet, so it's going to be a perfect donor cart for the project. The first thing you got to do is remove the rear wheel. Get your 6mm T-bar and undo the hub bolt, and remove the rear wheel hub and wheel from the axle. Next step is to remove the engine mounts so we can take off the chain and the rear sprocket carrier. So now's a good time to give the kart a bit of a clean. We used this kart yesterday out at Extreme Karting, and there's a bit of crusher dust and stuff on the runoff areas there, and some of the boys were, pushing the boundaries. So anyway, the kart's covered in junk, so now's a good chance to give it a clean. I've got in this is parts cleaner or brake cleaner, and it's just in a pump bottle. Buy it in 20 litres. You can get it in an aerosol can. Otherwise, you can use just a regular old degreaser, engine degreaser. That's really good on the chain loop as well. So the reason you have to take off the sprocket carrier is you need to take this keyway out. If you try to put the actual stiffener bush in with the keyway still in, these actually hang down in the axle and they'll just get all jammed up. So make sure you remove the keyway off the wheel hub and the keyway off the sprocket carrier. So now you want to get your extension and socket, put them onto the cart, like so. So grab your extension and socket and put that in up against the bearing and make a little mark, just like so. And then we're going to insert the stiffening bush. First of all, make sure you put some lube in there. It'll help it when you're tapping it in. Now you're ready to insert your bush. Put it on the axle. Just get it started like that. A few taps with a soft hammer. Now this is where this beauty comes into it. You can see that it fits perfectly inside the axle. And you can double check, make sure you got the right mark, which is this one here. And all we're going to do is just tap that bush all the way home, just like that. And then that way you know that you've hit it in this far, so the bush has got to be sitting perfectly underneath the bearing, and that'll be fitting perfectly under the grub screws. Now it's very similar for the other side. Remove the wheel and then just have to make that mark again because the other bearing is normally offset on the other side. So let's get to it. Okay, so now we're on the other side. First things first, remove the wheel on the hub. That's just using the 6mm T-bar Allen key. Okay, so now we need to remove the keyway. So on the brake side, the bearing is around the opposite direction. So what we want to do here is just push the socket up to the edge of the bearing. Okay, and put your little texture mark here on your extension bar. You can see here we've already removed the old texture marks. This is for the other side, we're about 20mm deeper. If we do that, we're going to actually push the plastic stiffener out past where we want it, which is right underneath the grub screws. Okay, so once again we're going to grab the spray lube, chuck a little bit of that up the axle. Get your stiffening bush, tap it in, get it started. Just a couple of light taps, you don't want to slog it in because it can kink over in the axle and then it makes it a real mission. So just a couple of light taps to get it started. And then once it's all the way into the axle, it's pretty straight and true and you should be able to knock it all the way up to the edge of the bearing without any major stress. So when you're using the extension bar and the hammer to hit those stiffener bushes into the axle, just use a light pressure because sometimes when you're hitting them in there's a bit of resistance and the resistance will change with no warning and you'll just hammer them straight past the bearings. And then you're in a bit of trouble. You've either got to hit them all the way out, both of them, and start again, or just get another bush. It's not a big deal, but still, if you can avoid it in the first place, it's always better. Okay, so now that you've inserted your axle stiffener bush, it's just a matter of reassembling your car in the reverse of how you pulled it apart. Paying attention to, obviously, the sprocket carrier and the alignment of the rear sprocket and the engine sprocket because you've had that off. So double check that with a straight edge or your laser aligner and then you're good to go. So there you have it. That's how you install Tony Kart axle stiffener bushes in your 50mm axle. If you found this video helpful, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to turn on your notifications. Also, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Power Republic, or go to our website www.powerrepublic.com.au and grab yourself a t-shirt and some axle stiffener bushes. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.